You're welcome to join us at 12:30 today for a drive-through celebration of our high school youth group. You can say hello to our graduating seniors and other high school students, drop off supplies for Butterfly Dreams, pick up your COR hoodie if you ordered one, grab a sweet treat from Muddy's Bake Shop, and or pick up a Church of the River yard sign. Immediately following the drive-through event at 1:30 p.m., we'll have a mini workday on the grounds at church and a walk across the Big River crossing. There's still time to take part in the new faith formation for adults that continues till June 14th. Coming of age at any age takes place via Zoom on Monday evenings at 8 p.m. For more information, email dre@churchoftheriver.org. For more information on these and other church events, please see the announcements at the end of the service.
Hello, I'm Sarah, and I'm going to recite an original poem. As summer, spring, and autumn pass, a snail trudges through the tall, sturdy grass, inching forward slowly but surely, longing for the blessed sky. We hopefully wait for a joyous moment to arrive, but disregard life through every sunrise. Like humans do and humans don't, the snail passes by. Let us come together in worship.
Hi, I'm Nathan Johnson. I'm a freshman at Houston High.
Hello, my name is Sarah Johnson, and I am a freshman at Houston High School.
Hi, my name's Amelia. I'm a 10th grader at White Station High School, and for today's youth service, I'll be doing a poem reading.
Hi, my name's Tyler. I'm a sophomore at East High School, and I am reading the announcements in a poem today.
Hi, my name's Owen Keaton, and I'm a junior at White Station High School.
Hello, my name is Riley Pearson, and I'm a senior at Carterville High School, and today I'm going to be reading a poem.
Hi, I'm Riley. I'm a senior at White Station High School, and I'll be doing today's homily.
Hello, my name's Nina. I'm a senior at White Station High School, and this morning I'll be reading a senior reflection. See you in a bit.
Hi, I'm Kelly Dearmore, and with a little help from my friend Tyler, I'm going to be presenting a story about a snail for Time for All Ages. There once was a snail named Jill. They lived a perfectly normal snail life. However, one day, on their way to get something to eat, a bird came down and cracked their shell, and just like that, the snail's life was changed. Jill was now a slug. They didn't know what it meant to be a slug. They didn't know what to expect. Jill's whole life, they knew themselves to be a snail, and now they felt like they were nothing. Jill felt dull and colorless without their shell. They went around looking for a new shell, but on their way, they crossed paths with a butterfly.
Hello, little slug.
Greeted the butterfly.
Why do you look so sad?
I'm no slug, Jill said. I'm just a snail who has lost its shell. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now.
Oh, well that's okay. I once was a caterpillar, and when I became a butterfly, I didn't know what to do either. But then I realized I loved being a butterfly, and I wouldn't change it for a thing.
That's easy for you to say. You're a gorgeous butterfly, Jill said. I'm just some bland gray slug.
I think you'll find that you're much more than that.
The butterfly replied. Jill carried on looking for a new shell, but nevertheless took the butterfly's words into consideration. Eventually, they came across a tarantula.
Hello, little slug.
Greeted the tarantula.
What's on your mind?
Jill sighed. I'm not a slug, I'm a snail. I've lost my home, and I'm on my way to find a new one, so I can be beautiful again.
You already are beautiful.
Argued the tarantula.
You don't need a shell to prove that. I'm a big hairy tarantula. People often shudder when they see me, but I still know I'm beautiful. You're a part of nature. Whether you're a snail or a slug, it doesn't matter. You're still making the world go round.
I guess so, Jill mumbled. And as the slugs slid away, carrying on in their journey, they once again contemplated the words of the butterfly and the tarantula. Jill looked around at all the baby birds who grew up to be gorgeous swans, at the small sprouting leaves that grew to be beautiful herbs and flowers, at the tiny formless tadpoles that turned into hopping frogs, and realized the tarantula really was right. With or without their shell, Jill was still fulfilling their purpose in the environment. Sure, the shell was bright-colored and protective, but the real beauty was in the slug form of Jill. A shell gets broken and battered. It cracks or it falls off. After a few more moments of looking around, Jill decided they didn't need a new shell. Perhaps if they came across one soon, they would move in. But for now, Jill was perfectly fine with being a gray old slug.
I read within a poet's book a word that starred the page. Stone walls do not a prison make, nor iron bars a cage. Yes, that is true, and something more. You'll find, wherever you roam, that marble floors and gilded walls can never make a home. But every house where love abides, and friendship is a guest, is surely home, and home sweet home, for there the heart can rest.
Hello, my name's Riley, and today I'm going to be reading a poem called Don't Rush Me Please by Barbara Vance. I am a snail, don't rush me please. I'm headed for those cherry trees. I have no place I have to be, no pressing thing I have to see. I like the speed, I like being slow. It gives me time to get to know all the flowers that I pass, every blade of every grass. I am a snail, this is my way. Don't rush me please, we've got all day.
Hi, my name's Amelia, and today I'll be reading Considering the Snail by Tom Gunn. The snail pushes through a green night, for the grass is heavy with water and meets over the bright path he makes, where rain has darkened the earth's dark. He moves in a wood of desire, pale antlers barely stirring as he hunts. I cannot tell what power is at work, drenched there with purpose, knowing nothing. What is a snail's fury? All I can think is that if later I parted the blades above the tunnel and saw the thin trail of broken white across litter, I would never have imagined the slow passion to that deliberate progress.
Hey everybody, it's Reverend Sam. I'm just going to do this tiny little piece of the service today because the service today it's all about the youth. And I am filming this week in a way that is against the rules. We're filming up and down and using the selfie camera because when youth, like the ones leading our service today, make their videos and their TikToks, this is how they do it. So I'm doing this to speak to the young people. And I am here to present our graduating seniors with the trophies that they will all be getting. They are all going to be presented with a vintage Church of the River softball trophy. These are the trophies right here, and one of them is going to go to each of our seniors. These were won by the Church of the River's champion softball team. Some of them go back almost 50 years, and this is what they look like. And our seniors this year, they're getting these trophies to keep and to take with them wherever else they go in the world. You know, not just because we want to give them a piece of the Church of the River to take with them, but also because they really have achieved something this year. They really have accomplished something pretty spectacular. You know, they did their senior year of high school, the whole thing through a pandemic. And all of the parts of senior year that are already difficult and stressful, they did all of that during this incredibly difficult and stressful time for all of us. And so I want to say to all of the seniors, you have achieved something truly incredible and amazing. I am so proud of you. We are all so proud of you. And this trophy is a commemoration of what you have achieved and of the spectacular human beings that all of you are. You are beloved. You are sacred. You are powerful. Go in peace.
Looking at it now, it all seems so simple. We were lying on your couch. I remember you took a Polaroid of us, then discovered the rest of the world is black and white. But we were in screaming color. And I remember thinking, are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods? Are we in the clear yet? Are we in the clear yet? In the clear yet? Good. Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods? Are we in the clear yet? Are we in the clear yet? In the clear yet? Good. Looking at it now, last December, we were built to fall apart and fall back together. Oh, your necklace hanging from my neck, night we couldn't quite forget. And we decided to move the furniture so we could dance, baby, like we stood a chance. 2 paper airplanes flying, flying, flying. And I remember thinking, are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods? Are we in the clear yet? Are we in the clear yet? In the clear yet? Good. Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods? Are we in the clear yet? Are we in the clear yet? In the clear yet? Good.
Good morning. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Nina Eason, and I'm a part of the class of 2021 at White Station. I'll be graduating this June not only from high school, but also from the Church of the Rivers High School youth group. And frankly, this thought makes me really sad. I have a long-standing relationship with the Unitarian Universalist Church, especially the youth group, and I don't want this relationship to become part of my past. I first joined a Unitarian Universalist church when I lived in Columbia, South Carolina. Having just moved there and not really knowing anyone, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Columbia, also known as UUCC, gave me a strong start to my new life in a place where many people did not share my same ideals. Being only 7 at the time, though, my ideals were very loosely shaped. Hearing conflicting information and ideas from the church and my classmates and other community members, I felt an internal struggle to find what my morals were and what I believed in, both politically and religiously. No one I knew outside the church had even heard of Unitarian Universalism, and I often felt alienated from my friends. I felt like I was living 2 separate lives, torn between 2 separate worlds. Later, however, my family and I moved back to Memphis and eventually joined the Church of the River. I completed the Our Whole Lives Comprehensive Sexual Education program, joined the youth group, and attended almost every Sunday service. I became friends with my fellow youth group and church members and felt right at home in the community. Seeing such a large number of people who shared somewhat similar values and interacting with people outside who had even heard of the church gave me a new understanding of this religion that I was a part of. With help from church and the family, I was able to travel to Boston with the youth group and learn all about Unitarian Universalism straight from the source. My junior year of high school, I participated in the Coming of Age program, working with my mentor, Lisa Jennings, to more deeply understand what my beliefs were and how these beliefs connected to Unitarian Universalism. This program also provided me with the resources to write my very own credo, a statement of my religious beliefs and values. But honestly, even after all the opportunities and information that the church gave me, I still felt unsure of my place spiritually and mentally. It feels funny to admit, but this past year has actually helped me learn more about myself and the world around me than I ever did before. This isn't to say that I gained nothing from these past experiences, because I wouldn't trade them for the world. I only mean to say that we truly find ourselves in the most unusual circumstances. This past year has actually been the hardest year of my life, which isn't saying a lot since I've only been around for 17 years, but I have a feeling that this will continue to exist as one of the worst times of my life for a long time to come. Being thrust into separation from my friends, family, and the church was very harmful mentally, but this was only the beginning of my COVID nightmare. I continued to fall downhill mentally the longer I was isolated, and I became very depressed. When school started, I felt even further with a constant feeling of overwhelm. The college process was also completely overwhelming, and I felt as if my entire education leading up to that point had been for nothing. That my 33 on the ACT and my resume of 10 APs and numerous extracurriculars had been for nothing. I was given very little aid to most of my schools, which meant I couldn't attend my top choice for college or even one of my top 5 choices. I was so tired and spent, feeling as if everything I had worked on so hard for wasn't for nothing. I'm still feeling this way, but I've accepted that college is only the next 4 years of my life and that I can still make the most of my college experience and my education regardless of where I go, which is why I've decided to attend the University of Memphis this fall. And while I won't be leaving the Church of the River, I'll still be leaving the youth group. This wonderful group of mentors and friends has helped me get through the toughest times of my high school career, including the past year. I would highly recommend this opportunity to anyone searching for who they are and what they want out of life. I still don't have it even somewhat figured out, but I know that I will at some point. And even if I don't, life keeps going on, especially at the Church of the River. While I've spent less time than I would have liked with the congregation this year, it's very important to me that everyone was still there to support me whenever I had the time or felt up to going to youth group or watching the virtual services. The reinforcement I've received from the church is what I'm most grateful for, and I know I'll carry that with me no matter what happens or where I go. And so, I'd like to leave you all with a quote from my very own credo, which I use to help guide myself and my actions almost every day. I believe in love, in my relationships, my community, my church, and most importantly, myself. I know it sounds a bit cliche, but it reminds me of my connection to the Church of the River, which will always be my home. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Johnson. I am a freshman at Houston High School, and, well, we all know life has been pretty tough right now, but I think I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and, well, Simon and Garfunkel explain my feelings pretty well. fast. You gotta make the morning last. Just kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun and feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. Hello lamppost, what you knowin'? I've come to watch your flowers growing. Ain't you got no rhymes for me? Feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da, feeling groovy. I've got no deeds to do, no promises to keep. I'm dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep. Let the morning time drop all its petals on me. Life, I love you, all is groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Ba-da-da-da-da-ba-do-do-do. Da-da-da-da-ba-da-da-da. Thank you.
The first day of quarantine was Friday, March 13th, 2020. It's a day we all remember well. The last normal day we had. It's the day schools shut down, the day work from home started, maybe the last day you were able to see your family or friends. I was a junior in high school on that day, and I had no idea that would be my last day of normal high school. On that day, my friends and I were thrilled that we were getting an extra week of spring break. We hung out after school to celebrate, and 14 months later, I wish I could have warned myself that would be the last time I would hug many of my friends for a very long time. I think most of us can agree that the memories of the last normal days we had in March 2020 are strange and grim. But in my life, something amazing came out of that day, that terrible day, that Friday the 13th. The first day of quarantine was the day I adopted Luna. Luna has inspired me in so many ways throughout quarantine. She's made me think so deeply about myself, about the world. And before I go any further, I must explain, Luna is not a dog. She's not a cat, not a bird, not a hamster. Luna is an aquatic snail, about the size of my pinky fingernail. Specifically, she's a freshwater horned neurite snail. She is tiny. Luna has black and yellow stripes across her shell and one minuscule horn. It sticks out like a little antenna from her shell to protect her from predators, but no offense to her, I don't think any predators would be very scared. So why, out of any pet, did I choose to adopt an aquatic snail when I didn't even have an aquarium? I'm a senior in high school now, and in a few months, I'll be heading off to college. I'll be going to Agnes Scott College in Atlanta, Georgia. And because I'll be moving in about 3 months, my parents said, no more pets. They knew they would be stuck with a pet mouse or a hamster when I couldn't bring my pet to my dorm room. So they said, no more pets. not even a fish. Of course, I had to find my way around this rule. So I found a pet so small, so easy to take care of, that they couldn't refuse me. And thus, Luna entered my life. She is surprisingly fast, incredibly resilient, and she has a 2-gallon tank, almost all to herself. Her tank mate is Rhino, another aquatic snail of a different breed who I adopted a few months later. Rhino is 5 times the size of Luna, but they are the best of friends. Luna's favorite pastime is climbing onto Rhino's shell and riding him as he travels across the tank, like a jockey and a horse. Rhino's name is even a byproduct of this occurrence. Luna sitting on Rhino's back reminded me of how birds often perch on the backs of rhinos in a kind of mutualistic relationship, and Luna and Rhino operate in the same way. Rhino gets his shell cleaned by Luna, who feasts on all the accumulated algae, and Luna gets a free ride around. I was so bored during quarantine. I would spend long periods of time just watching them. Luna and Rhino. They move so slowly, it was almost like a meditation for me. And as I would watch them, I started thinking. I started to think of some scientific, possibly existential questions about snails. Is Luna and Rhino's behavior simply instinctual? Or do they have a conscious existence? Do they feel? Do they experience emotion? Most people would assume the answer is no. Snails don't experience emotion. And not just Luna or Rhino, any kind of snail. When a garden snail finds a delicious tomato to munch on, we can assume they don't feel joy. Just a kind of positive biological reaction to nourishing itself, right? But I would argue we could pose the same question of humans. When you feel joy after eating a delicious meal, is it really joy? Or, like the snail, is it simply a biological reaction, a positive biological reaction to nourishing yourself, taking the time to feed yourself? Thinking and feeling are not always conscious, even in humans. Most day-to-day things that you do unconsciously, even when you feel as though you have power over the decisions you're making. When you're thirsty, you head to the sink or the fridge for a glass of water. When you're tired, your body slows, your eyes fall heavy, you yawn. You're a human with basic needs, and your body unconsciously tends to them. Have you ever started walking? Or even gotten in the car and started driving with a destination in mind, and suddenly you find yourself there? You've zoned out the entire journey, and you have found that your feet on the ground or hands on the wheel have unconsciously taken you exactly where you needed to be. You can count on those basic human instincts. So you operate on autopilot a lot of the time. You can say, that the snail is a creature without a conscience. But even humans are not conscious 100% of the time. It's our tendency as humans to see ourselves as the gods of the animal kingdom. But I would argue that we have a lot in common with even the smallest creatures. We have a lot in common with the snail. All of that said, I was still searching for the answer to my question, do snails feel emotion? So, I found my way onto several aquatic snail owners' blogs. Yes, there are places on the World Wide Web where snail owners argue over whether their aquarium snails are capable of emotion. Maybe they just want to know if their pet snails can love them back. In my research, though, what I found is there is little scientific evidence to support that snails feel emotion, at least by human standards. However, I found something very surprising. Snail owners agree on one fact almost universally. Snails grieve. They mourn. What an interesting idea. Snails grieve. Like many other more complex animals, including humans, snails mourn their dead. They lament. Snail owners have seen it firsthand. If one snail dies in a tank with many, the living surround the dead in a circle. Some snails even climb onto the backs of the dead. One snail owner described her two aquatic snails. They were mating partners in a tank together. And when one of them unexpectedly died, its mate did not move or eat for 3 days. It sat right next to its dead partner, curled up inside its shell, and did not move for 3 days. So, snails grieve. And we grieve in the same way as humans. When we grieve, we may not move for 3 days or eat. We grieve like snails. Grief is universal. Emotion is universal. Feeling is universal. Snails grieve. They feel like us. And yes, our emotions are more complicated than that of the snail. But the bottom line is, feeling and emotion are universal to creatures who are alive. Like the snail. Like us. This pandemic has brought so much grief and pain. Throughout the past year, there's been so much hardship, so much grief. Losing the people you love, losing your family members, your friends, losing your job, losing the way of life you knew before. And the past year has brought so many complicated emotions. Fear, anger, sadness, emotions that make you want to curl up inside your shell and not move for 3 days. Snails are lucky. They have an anatomical way to protect themselves. When they feel afraid or when they grieve, they have a protective shell around them. A place to hide, a place to escape to. As humans, we don't have that luxury. When we feel afraid, when we feel sad, we don't have a shell on our backs to withdraw into. In a way, though, I think we have symbolic shells, metaphorical shells. We have people we depend on when we feel overwhelmed with so much negative emotion. We have interests, hobbies that bring us comfort, routines that make us feel in control when everything else is out of control. There are people in our lives who love us, who lift us up, who form a shell around us. Our favorite things to do, our favorite meals, make up that shell and bring us joy. This supportive congregation around us makes us feel held. When we feel afraid of what we don't understand, afraid of what we don't know, when we feel grief, anger, sadness, we have that shell of the people who love us. We have that shell of the things and people we love. Throughout quarantine, my shell has been my parents, my friends, my habit of always watching church on Sunday mornings. That is my shell. That is my protection from the world. When I feel angry or sad or grieving, that shell makes me feel safe. That shell makes us feel safe. And when we feel so intensely, when we grieve, we retreat into our shells. And after 3 days, we come out restored. We come out feeling safe again, feeling protected. As more and more people are getting their vaccines, the end of the pandemic seems like it might be in sight. We can slowly begin to come out of our shells again. We can slowly begin to come back to a more normal world. Not to say that the pain of the pandemic is over or that it didn't leave its mark on us. But you have survived thus far, and that is something to be proud of. And that shell, those people who love you, and the things and people you love, that shell helped you make it through. Soon, we will emerge on the other side. We will come out of our shells. And they will always be there for us when we need them again. Our support systems to make us feel safe when we're navigating fear and grief. That's what Luna's shell is for. A place to hide and recover when she feels afraid. I am like her in so many ways. And I hope by now you've realized you have something in common with her too. As I prepare to go off for college, I'll have to take what I've learned with me. I'll have to remember It's okay to take time and retreat into my shell, into what makes me feel safe. And when I'm ready to come out of my shell again, I'll be ready to take on a whole new world. We will be ready to take on a whole new world. Amen.
We've come to the point in our service where we accept your financial contribution to our church. Instructions on how to do so will be displayed on the screen. The offertory for the care and sustenance of this congregation and its work will now be graciously given and received. Thank you.
I invite you all to join me now in a moment of blessing for our youth. For you, young and on the precipice of change, we honor and celebrate you today. For you, formed in ways large and small by this community, we are proud of the people you have become. For you, who will never again be at this point in your lives, we are behind you, cheering you on in ways large and small. For you, who may be unsure of what lies ahead, we sit with you in uncertainty until the way ahead becomes clear. For you, who will push our faith toward growth and change, we listen to you with love and respect. For you, for all of who you are and all that you are not, we love you. May you go forth from this place knowing that we bless you and that we have been blessed by your presence among us. Amen.